taking a step towards saving the planet. This telecommunications company is finding new ways to consume less energy and reduce its carbon footprint. We talk now to Converge's Benjamin Azada about environmental sustainability in the business. Benj, thank you so much for joining us.
Evening, Rico.
All right, like in the G7 meeting that's ongoing right now in Japan, climate change is front and center of discussions. How is Converge reducing its greenhouse gas emission footprint?
Well, you know, Rico, first and foremost, the technology that we use is green. So we use pure fiber to the home, GPON technology, which is many times more energy efficient than copper, like the DSL and DOCSIS networks. But going beyond that, we're also converting many of our sites progressively to renewable energy. And we've already started with 2 sites, our main headquarters and data center in Pasig to geothermal. That was in 2021. And last year, we also moved our data center in Clark, in Pampanga, also to geothermal.
You have an ambitious goal, reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 75% by 2030. Benj, where are you at right now, 7 years towards that goal?
Yeah, admittedly, it's a stretch target, and you know, we've been also engaging with stakeholders, because what we're saying in terms of 75%, that's a scope 2, what we call scope 2. That's greenhouse gas emissions from electricity. The only way we can go beyond where, much beyond where we are now, is if there's regulation to allow aggregation of sites to move to renewable energy. So right now we have thousands of sites all over the country, nodes, right? But each node is too small right now under the regulations to move to geothermal. So what we're doing instead is we're waiting, while we wait for the regulation to change to bring down that threshold, we're also experimenting with solar, like solar panels, and more importantly, energy efficiency, because energy you don't use because you're more efficient is the best kind of saving, right, of electricity and carbon emissions.
And of course, how can you really attain this when we're also having problems with our transmission grids?
Exactly.
Right? And if you put in all of this renewable energy from solar to geothermal into these transmission grids, then it will be a major problem going forward.
Yeah, that's why I think there's a lot of investment that needs to go into infrastructure. Telecoms is one of those, of course, types of infrastructure, but the energy grid, all the other utilities, all of this investment has to come in so that we can have a just transition by 2050 and get to net zero as a country, as a nation.
Wow, 2050.
2050 for the whole country.
For the whole country.
Zero, dapat.
Oh. But of course, what we all want is to avert the worst impacts of climate change and preserve a livable planet. Is there a chance, that your strategy could be accelerated?
Yeah, I think that's why we're doing whatever we can within our scope of business. You saw, I think, on the screen on TV a while ago that we have an e-waste campaign.
Yes.
We don't have a lot of plastic waste. What telcos have by way of waste is our old electronic equipment, our network equipment, our IT. That in itself also generates greenhouse gas emissions. So the more efficient the more recycling we're able to do, the more of a circular economy we're able to put in place, the better it is for the planet. And we're very proud that we've been able to divert 98% of our waste from landfill. So only 2% right now goes. And we were hoping to make that zero.
And you mentioned the earlier, Benj, that your Pasay City and your data center, Pasig City and your data center in Pampanga are already 100% clean energy.
That's right.
Which other facilities will also be 100% clean energy over the next several years?
So that's what I was saying a while ago, Rico, right? All our other sites are a bit too small to transition. But hopefully with the new regulations, we can aggregate sites, right? And say that, okay, even if individually it doesn't meet the threshold, but if you add it all together, it meets the threshold. That's what we're hoping, that we can work with with the energy companies and also with regulators to be able to make that transition.
With the introduction of clean energy, renewable energy, a lot of businesses are saying this will really cut into our profitability, into our bottom line. But for Converge, is clean energy good for business?
You'd be surprised, Rico. We never set out to try and save money on this. We wanted to just be cost neutral. But surprisingly, because we were able to bid this out, right, make it competitive, we actually saved not a big amount, but significant enough amount because in recent months energy prices went up because of geopolitical considerations, and because our contract was fixed for 2 years, we've enjoyed savings.
So Converge is indeed committed to sustainability and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Of course, last quarter, Converge launched its prepaid fiber optic S2S. How has the reception been so far with prepaid connectivity?
S2S means surf to sawa. So what it
Talagang
means...
sawa ba?
Well, the reception's been great. We have 30,000 subscribers already, and we haven't even done a full commercial launch yet. But we've been test marketing this for many, many months. And I must say, the reaction of subscribers in terms of having fiber to the home on a prepaid basis, 700 pesos per month, you can really surf to sawa. No data caps, unlike wireless, unlike mobile data.
Another issue that is always being raised in telecommunication companies, or for any company for that matter, is customer service. I lived overseas for 25 years in Hong Kong, London, and Singapore. I've never had any issues with customer service. And now here in the Philippines, it is such a major problem. How are you addressing this in Converge?
So you know what? We're doing it from the core first, right? I mean, if a customer calls or contacts us with a complaint, it's because in the first place there was a problem with their service. So what we're trying to do is avoid them having problems with their service in the first place. And we're doing that by building redundancy and resiliency into our network. So by putting double or triple paths in our network, so that even when there's a typhoon, when there's an earthquake, or a cable cut for some reason, there'll be less likelihood.
So Benj, do you see artificial intelligence eventually taking over customer service?
We're already using it.
How many percent?
We're not using it in customer service yet, but we're already using it for our network management, right? So that we are able to predict and more precisely locate where there are faults, and so that we have less number of false alarms, kumbaga. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing with us your sustainability initiatives and your customer service strategy. Benjamin Azada, Chief Strategy Officer and Chief Sustainability Officer of Converge.
Thank you, Rico.